How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. So we can hop to the Dixie because it did open trading technically just a little while ago. We do have a little push forward, but we need to reject this EMA level if we're going to see crypto push forward. Remember, usually they are inversely related. Momentum is in the bearish territory, VWAP's falling back. Money flow is trying to break through that bearish territory. If it breaks to the bullish side with VWAP holding, we would see a push forward. However, if that VWAP does round away and breaks down, we will see momentum round away and then price action would drop as well. We want that VWAP to break that neutral and bring that money flow lower if we're going to see crypto push up, most likely. Remember, there are times they do act related. So over on Bitcoin dominance, we do have a push forward. We are continuing with those green candles above that value area high. That did give dominance the push up. Remember, this shows that Bitcoin is doing good against altcoins. It doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin has to run forward. Stochastic does want to round away. Momentum is starting to round. VWAP is trying to push forward. Money flow is gaining strength. Our VWAP is trying to break that neutral though. So if that VWAP breaks neutral and momentum rounds, money flow could weaken and we could see dominance retrace a bit. Again, that doesn't mean Bitcoin has to sell off. It would just mean altcoins would run against Bitcoin. So over on total, we are trying to hold around this golden pocket. We did try to break through the top of it, but we got rejected again. We are likely going to push lower if we cannot hold this support and gain some significant strength soon to push us to that 674. Our stochastic is starting to drop away. We have that orange above blue, but blue is trying to cross. If we can get that cross, that would be bullish and help push us up. Momentum is trying to push forward, but we have a red dot as the VWAP is struggling. If that VWAP rejects here and gets a lower high, followed by lower lows, momentum would continue lower and money flow would break down, and that would result in our totals selling off. And remember, total is the combined market cap of all of our altcoins. Sorry, got a little distracted there. Momentum is starting to drop away. Stochastic is falling. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is in the bearish territory. We do have lower highs, and we did reject that neutral, so watch if we get these consistent lows. These consistent lows can bring us lower, causing momentum to break through the bearish territory and money flow to sell off. That would result in us starting to sell off. Over on the 2 hour, we are struggling to hold above EMAs, so remember, if we start rejecting our EMAs and pushing below them, we're likely going to trend back down. I would watch for a lower low. If we get a lower low and break that 602, we could continue lower. However, if we get a higher low and bounce off either the 300 or 250 EMA, the black or gray respectively, then we could continue forward. That could create a bullish channel, providing the highs and lows don't connect. RSI does want to pull back, stochastic does want to round. Money flow is starting to sell off. That VWAP is very weak, so watch that VWAP close. If it continues to weaken, momentum will continue lower. Money flow would break down, and we would see, the higher time frames start to break down as well. So if that money flow does break down, we likely would see higher time frames push down as well. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI does want to drop as a result. VWAP is starting to favor bearish with weak highs and continued lows, and momentum is picking up bearish strength. So if that VWAP continues to drop away, momentum will continue to favor bearish, and that money flow could end up breaking down. I would exercise caution. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we did hit that 69 and we got rejected, much like we said could happen. So if we do push back down to the bottom of this pattern, we may get a breakdown and start that push to our 65.5. Remember, if we don't hold that, we could fill this gap. That would be the ideal scenario. And then we fill the gap, making a higher low, and then continue forward with a higher high to continue bullish momentum. Our momentum is bullish. VWAP is trying to break bullish. Our stochastic does want to push up. Money flow is trying to gain strength, and the RSI is pretty flat. But if the stochastic continues forward, RSI could continue up. Price action would follow. But if that VWAP rounds away here, we're likely going to see that stochastic and RSI weaken. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a gap forward, so I would exercise caution. We are starting to pull back to fill it. It's likely we could end up filling it, and then we do have another one below us. So we have 3 gaps below us that we could fill, and gaps do have an 80% likelihood to fill, so I would watch for a cascading effect. Ideally, we get that higher low, then we get higher highs. That would push us forward though. Stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is trying to bounce. Momentum is gaining strength. VWAP is trying to push forward and money flow is starting to weaken, so watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP breaks down here, that yellow wave, we will see momentum round away and money flow could start to break down. That would result in that sell off. Over on the 2 hour, momentum is starting to round, stochastic is pulling back, RSI is starting to weaken, money flow is bearish, and the VWAP is very indecisive, so watch that VWAP close. If it rejects this neutral, we will see a lower high with consistent lows that would bring momentum and money flow lower. Over on the 1 hour, our momentum's overall weakening, RSI does want to pull down, stochastic is starting to round, watch that stochastic. We do have our orange above blue, that's a bearish cross. That would bring RSI and price lower. VWAP is bullish but struggling, so watch that VWAP close. If it does not hold above this neutral, momentum will continue to weaken, money flow would break down, and we would potentially start to weaken those higher time frames. Remember, it does take time for the lower time frames to affect higher time frames, but they can lead them. Over on the daily for Bitcoin, stochastic does want to round, RSI is starting to go flat, momentum does want to round, VWAP does have a lower high and is pulling back to neutral, watch for a lower low. If we make that lower low, momentum will start to sell off and money flow will follow. That would result in price action starting to push down. Over on this 4 hour, we do have consistent highs with higher lows, slightly higher highs and higher lows. This may be a slight bullish channel. I would just exercise caution with those gaps on futures. Stochastic does want to pull back, momentum is dropping. VWAP is in the bullish territory but struggling. Watch that VWAP close. We need a higher low in order to continue forward. Stochastic does want to push up and RSI does want to follow. Over on the 2 hour here, we are trying to hold above EMAs, so that is positive. That's creating a higher low with this high. So we do have higher highs with higher lows in this trend right here. That could continue us forward. I would just exercise caution. If we make a lower high from here, then that's where we would likely start to sell off. VWAP is starting to round away. Momentum is bullish. Money flow is bullish. Stochastic does want to push up and RSI is trying to gain strength. So we do look positive. Just watch very close. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a bit of a rising channel here. Remember, rising channels, when they do connect, do end up breaking you down. So I would exercise caution. We do have 2 touches to the bottom, 2 to the top, and the next top, if we do get rejected, would be what would pull us back, like I warned about, to watch for. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic is dropping, RSI wants to pull back, momentum is rounding, VWAP does want to break down, and money flow is starting to sell off. So I would exercise caution. If that VWAP breaks at neutral, momentum will round away, money flow would break down, and that would cascade the higher time frames to weaken. So over on the daily for graph, we are pretty flat here. We did overall reject our EMA and we are continuing lower. Stochastic is pretty flat. RSI is weakening. VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is pushing down as a result and money flow is remaining bearish. So overall, we do have a bearish trend on the daily. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic is starting to push away. RSI is dropping. VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping and money flow is favoring bearish as well. So I would exercise caution there as well. Over on the 2 hour, we are continuing to reject our EMAs. We do have a bit of a bearish trend as the highs and lows don't really connect. Stochastic is dropping. VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping. Money flow does want to pull back. RSI and stochastic are dropping. So overall, the 2 hour does not look very positive. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a gap ahead of us, so that is positive. Remember, gaps tend to fill. We have 2 gaps ahead of us now. One right around this 19,316. And another right around this 19,764. So we do have the potential to make a bounce and fill those when the rest of the market is more bullish. We are currently pulling back and filling our previous gap right around this 1910. We do have another one right around that 18,570. So I would watch for that to be our support level if we continue to drop. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping. Our stochastic is favoring bearish. RSI does want to bounce as the stochastic does have a bullish cross. But if the stochastic rejects the 30, then we will see RSI pull back and price action would follow still. So I would just exercise a little bit of caution, especially with the way total looks. Over on Ankr for the daily, we did get a rejection of that resistance area like we wanted to watch about. Momentum is dropping. We have a red dot as that VWAP does want to break down. If that VWAP breaks down, that red dot would suggest momentum would continue lower. And as momentum breaks that neutral, we would see money flow pick up bearish strength. RSI and stochastic do look a little more bearish, so I would watch that. Stochastic is struggling to hold above this 30 area, and if it gives up the 30 area, it would cross into bearish territory and bring RSI and price action lower. Over on the 4-hour, we do have lower highs with a lower low, so I would watch. This could be a bearish trend forming. Our stochastic is dropping, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping, and money flow is rejecting. So the 4-hour doesn't look too positive. Watch the lower time frames close. The 2-hour, we are fighting that 300 EMA. We need to push above this and hold if we're going to break that 3079 and stay above it to continue up. Stochastic does want to push up. VWAP is trying to break through that neutral, but not getting very much luck, so I would watch that VWAP very close. Momentum does want to push with the green dot. Stochastic is pushing forward, and the RSI is starting to weaken, but if that stochastic can continue forward, we would push up. Over on the 1-hour, we do have a gap below us and a gap above us. So ideally, we would drop, fill the gap below us, and then make a bounce to fill the gap above us. We also have a gap back here, right around 29.94, and another one right around that 29.30. So ideally, we drop down, fill our first 3 gaps, then push up and fill the higher gap to continue a bullish run with higher lows and higher highs, like we would want to see on Bitcoin. So over on XRP for the daily, we do still have this consolidation, so you could call this a bull flag or a symmetrical triangle. If you call it a symmetrical triangle, it would be a bull pendant that could run you beyond this 67,843. Momentum does want to round, VWAP is favoring bearish, stochastic is dropping down, and RSI is weakening, so overall I would exercise caution. Over on the 4-hour, we do have a manipulation X. We do want to reject several EMAs. I would exercise caution. If we continue rejecting EMAs and we break the yellow one, we're likely going to push to that 57 cents. Our stochastic is starting to round with orange above blue. RSI does want to push down. VWAP is breaking down. Momentum does want to round with the red dot, and money flow is pulling back, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 2-hour, we have a lot of consolidation going on here. So I would exercise caution because this consolidation after this push down could create a micro bear flag to push us down instead of up. Stochastic does want to pull back, RSI is weakening, momentum is falling, VWAP is in a bearish trend with lower lows and lower highs, so that could continue to drop momentum and cause money flow to break from green to red. Over on the 1-hour, we are continuing to break EMAs. I would exercise caution. RSI is dropping, stochastic is favoring bearish, our VWAP is breaking down with lower highs and consistent lows, and the momentum does want to bounce, but with the VWAP favoring bearish, it's likely we could end up breaking down if that VWAP gets a lower high from here. Last but not least, we have ALGO. We do have a push down right around that 1350 like we said to watch for, so hopefully you are on that. RSI is dropping away, stochastic does want to round, VWAP is trying to reject that neutral, momentum is dropping, and that money flow is in the bearish territory, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 4-hour, we are continuing to round away. We have lower highs with lower lows. This is a bit of a bearish trend. Again, this could be a goofy head and shoulders that could break us lower. Stochastic is dropping, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is breaking down as a result, and money flow is selling off. So overall, we don't look too positive there. Over on the 2-hour, we are rounding away, breaking our EMAs and rejecting all of them. RSI is dropping away, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping, but that VWAP has higher lows. If it can get a higher high, momentum could make a bounce and money flow could remain bullish. However, if that VWAP pulls away, rejects that neutral and gets a rejection here, making a lower low afterwards, we would see momentum drop away and money flow would follow, and that would reject as well. So over on the 1-hour, we are overall pushing away from our EMAs, kind of stair-stepping our way down. That trend is continuing. I would exercise caution. Our momentum is favoring bearish, stochastic is overall breaking down. VWAP is struggling to maintain a bullish trend, so watch that VWAP close, just like the 2-hour. If we reject here, we would continue lower and see price action follow. Stochastic does want to push up, and the RSI does want to push forward as a result. So if that VWAP can hold above neutral and stochastic can push forward, we could get bounce here. However, if that VWAP rejects, we would see price action start to push to that 1350, possibly breaking it and maybe pushing around that 1032 if we're very unlucky. Sorry about that. Got something caught in my throat. But thank you. Have a great night. I appreciate all of you for watching.